Is that better?
No.
Is that better?
No.
Is that
Not at all.
Is this on?
No, we can hear you fine.
I know, I can project my voice. I'm a professional artist. This is... Check.
Still no.
It says it is.
It was.
We'll get this part right.
Turn it on.
It is turned on. It's in my hand. Yeah. That's how I know it's turned on. I'm holding it. Is that good? Are we better?
Yeah!
We can get a little more on that. That's cool. Hi, everybody. Thanks so much for coming out tonight. How are you doing? Welcome to the Second City. A little bit of business before we get going. In the case of an emergency, please safely exit out the entrance that you came into. Got that?
Yeah.
Hey, good job. If you need to use the restroom at any point during the show, hold it. It's only now. If you have a cell phone right now, it would be nice to turn it so that it doesn't interrupt any of our performances. It's surprising, you might not know this, but they can barely see anything up here out to you guys. It's very bright lights because we want them to get the full effect of Hollywood. And so we blind them instantly and make it so that they can't see their own futures. Because it's hard up here to know where your future is. Second City is famous for graduating improvisers and sketch comics the world over. You guys heard of some of the people that have gone to school here and taken classes here and been on shows here? Yeah? They are mostly improvisers, famous for doing the art of improv. This, however, batch of really great folks chose to take stand-up here. So yeah, you know, life decisions. It's like going to a cooking school to learn farming. Where's the lawn? I gotta put seeds down. We really hope that you guys are gonna support them. This is a lot of their first times ever doing anything like this. So I wanna give you a little orchestra kind of vibe for right now, okay? So I'm gonna give you a little bit of a thing. So imagine right now a scale of 1 to 10 of laughter. Your 1 is when you find something kind of like a little humorous. Let me hear ones. That's really good, that's really good. Now let's jump it right up to like a solid 3.5. Good, now let's go from a 1 to a 3.5. Like they started a joke and then it kind of rose a little bit. That's pretty good. All right, this one's gonna be one of those like pot boilers. So when we first start, like count to 3, but don't make any noise, and then it's gonna be like a hand grenade joke that you just like automatically get up at a 7. Ready? So here we go. They just told the joke and. Great. Now we're gonna go 3, 7, 1, 10. Ready? 3, 7, 1, 10. Ready? No, 10's got the applause break. You gotta put your hands together. That's 10. Put your hands together. Keep your hands going. Keep it going. We're your first comedy club on stage right now, ladies and gentlemen. More love for
All right, thank you all for coming out tonight. So I have trust issues. So all my stand-up one class mates decided they were all going to wear black dresses today. I will give you a hint. Not all of them did. Did not. Who came out here for Bill? I know he's super excited to have all you out here. It's one of the few times that he sees this many friends and family together. That's not intervention.
How do you know?
So I've been married for 3 years. Yeah, a tenth of a way to actually getting any kind of applause for that. So one of the things we were doing when we were planning our wedding is we decided to write our own vows. It was sweet. Made sense that we could write something that was meaningful. The issue is I am a procrastinator. I had 6 months to write these vows. And I waited until the last hour to write the vows. But I still wanted it to be meaningful, and I wanted to take something from my heart and also connect with her family. So my wife is, her first language is Spanish. Her parents primarily speak Spanish, and her extended family speaks almost only Spanish. So I decided to write the last 2 sentences of my vows in Spanish. The issue is I don't speak Spanish. So when it actually came to saying the vows, and I was very proud of the wordsmithing I was able to complete within an hour. And then I got to this 2 lines of Spanish, and I realized not only can't I speak Spanish, I can't pronounce Spanish. So what I thought was going to be really sweet about holding hands the rest of our lives was just complete gibberish that neither side of the aisle could understand. I'm sure my English family thought I was speaking Spanish. Sure. The other side knew I was speaking jack shit. But yeah, my wife still thought it was very cute, and I appreciate her to this day for that. So over the past 2 years, I definitely could have been learning more Spanish. I learned a little bit, but still barely beyond hello and bye. I did pick up some pandemic hobbies. Who here picked up a pandemic hobby?
Eating.
Yeah. What did you pick up?
Eating.
Eating. Okay.
He beat me to it.
All right. Yeah, a lot of people did. A lot of people did like sourdough bread and knitting and all that kind of stuff. I picked up a pandemic hobby too. I actually built a 16-foot cedar strip canoe. This is not to brag by any means. How I got the idea was I actually watched a 15-minute YouTube video of someone building a cedar strip canoe. And I thought, oh wow, I can do that. Maybe not in 15 minutes, this person's an expert, and it's also not in real time, but you know, maybe like a month. I could probably build this in a month. 9 months later, 1 month before our child was born, our first child was born, an only child, I finished the canoe. So in the same time span that took my wife to make her beautiful daughter, I built a canoe. I am not going to say which is more impressive, but I will say one is bigger than the other.
Oh man!
But it did give me a great time to bond with my father-in-law, who speaks pretty good English, but still at times there can be some issues. And there's nothing better than two men bonding on something that's nearly pointless and in complete silence. I want to thank you all for coming out today. Next up we have Virginia.
So thank you, Ryan, for getting the memo about the dresses. So, hey everyone, I'm Virginia, and I just moved here from New York City. So, anybody here from New York City?
No.
Okay, we're getting there. Okay, so when I told everybody that I was actually moving away from New York City, people were floored. The magical island of Manhattan that I called my home was just so ingrained in me that like nobody thought I could just take my personality out there. Like I lived here for 2 months and I still haven't taken my Metro card out of my phone. And I need some help adjusting. So can somebody please tell me what's the New Jersey of the Midwest?
Wisconsin.
Wisconsin, okay.
Gary,
Gary, guys. Gary is a city, not a state. Anyway, if we had Gary just like take up the whole percent of Indiana, then there would be no New York City due to Staten Island. Like, come on. So, anyway. There's a lot of similarities and differences between New York and Chicago, and like how different can they really be? There's tall buildings, everybody's miserable in the winter, everybody's miserable in the summer, and everybody's miserable when there's allergies. So. Right. And you know, the New York City has the MTA, obviously, and Chicago has the CTA. But I'm from marketing, so why do you call your subway the call to action? And who loves deep dish pizza here? Okay, so other than all of you in denial, thank you. We all know that New York City pizza is better, right? Now, obviously, New York, Chicago, there's some differences, you know, like the pizza. And I know what you're thinking. You want me to talk about the alleyways, right? I'm not going to do that. Well, instead of eating bagels, I decided I'm going to exclusively eat Portillo's. I had my first tornado warning recently. Absolutely crazy. You know, when a hurricane is coming towards New York City, there's no sirens everywhere. You figure that shit out yourself. And my biggest gripe about Chicago is how the rent is so much cheaper. I have money for food now. So, between Stan's, Donut Vault, Bombo Bar, Do Right. Oh, and I had fire cakes about 2 hours ago. Thanks, Chicago, for the addiction. This is also the point of it where I tell everybody that the anxiety meds that they prescribed me for doing nothing in the pandemic is definitely not strong enough for doing this right now. And speaking of, I definitely need to find a therapist in Chicago. Funny enough, during the height of the pandemic, there were no more therapists in New York City. Like, to the point that they had to bring therapists out of retirement. I get it, we're all in this pandemic together, we're all hurting together, but like, bringing therapists out of retirement, not the brightest idea. So, I remember talking to one therapist, and I couldn't even hear myself think over the that did not help the anxiety. I was talking to another one, and for some reason, she never really had a client in corporate before, which I thought was weird. And I had to explain to her the difference between being a graphic designer versus being an engineer, and like, what's next? The difference between TikTok and Zoom. So anyway, if you're a therapist looking for new clients, or you just want to talk about donuts, I'm here after the show, and thank you very much.
Thank you. I am Baird. No, I didn't wear my black dress. My wife is wearing my black pumps, and she wouldn't give them up. So, let me introduce myself. I am Baird, and I have the enjoyment of being my own personal noun. There is no other Baird out there. Now, I know there's some people out here with names that are nouns. There's Mark. You know, there's people shoot at Mark. There's Matt. People walk on Matt. There's Robin. Well, you know, 10 minutes of glory at the beginning of spring, and then we don't care about you anymore. There's Guy. But Guy's redundant, unless your middle name is like Eloise. And what were your parents thinking about? Covering all the bases? We don't know that. But there's aspects of Baird that make Baird unique. And that Baird is like, you know, when you have breakfast, and we're going to do pizza and beer, but the pizza is colder than the beer. Baird is being a social cannonball. Wherever you go, you know, you got to drop that bomb. And you're banned from every funeral home in the inner city of Chicago. Baird is when your wife is having our first child, and the doctor says, "Mrs. the Baird, would you like an epidural?" And she goes, "Yes, please." And I'm like going, "That sounds good. Make mine a double." Baird is when you forget your jokes. One about the Blue Line having one non-smoking car. Oh, I like this one. Insert, no, that's a Costco joke. I'm too many. This is my favorite. Insert joke here. We're going to save that for future jokes. Somebody say block party.
Block party?
There we go! Support your local artists. We have block parties. I love our block party. It's tradition. It's like a holiday for me because it's one of those things that's very redundant. Everything's the same. Nothing changes year to year, and you get very comfortable. Now, the block party, if you guys live in high rises, you may not have these. They block off the ends of the street, so there's no traffic around. You have to walk in through a gate to get there. We have a bouncy house. We'll have face paintings. Kids will be riding around. You know, it's almost like Lollapalooza. Except we just have all the music coming through a Bluetooth speaker. And as far as I know, no one has buried drugs in my front yard yet. And I've looked. Every week I check. But one of the things we do at our block party is we have a beer tasting. And we have this guy Chuck. He knows his beers. At least we think he knows his beer. We know beer because it comes in a can of water. He knows more about it. And he'll lay out all these beers. And Chuck will bring out the first one. Now this first beer here, this is a double IPA stout trip. It's called, what's it called again? Oh, it's called Optimus Prime. Now, if you smell it, you smell that hoppy smell. It's like old socks. If you taste it, it's bitter. That's the hops. The hops make it bitter. It's a hoppy beer. Bitter people drink hoppy beer. It's disastrous. Now this beer, this is the better. This is big-ass porter. Now this is very special in that they actually distill the beer through the pig's ass. And it's a happy beer. Which makes the porter a happy porter. It also gives it that certain richness which you can't figure out. It's very dark. But that's what we like for our porter. And then eventually the ice cream truck comes. And ice cream trucks scare me. Because they've got that song. You know, ice cream truck drivers smell blood. They smell children's blood. And they go cruising around looking for it. Looking for children. And they got that damn song. Bring your money! And the kids line up. And they're all in front of the ice cream truck. And there's like 75 stickers of all the different flavors. And you've got the first kid, some 4-year-old, who can't read, and they don't know what they want. And they're standing there. And Dad's there. What do you want? You want a rocket bomb? Do you want a drumstick? Well, what do you want? Daddy, when's the beer tasting? I am Baird. Thank you very much. Have a great afterlife. And I'm happy to bring up Bree.
I don't need Baird's jokes. I'm Brianna, and I've started doing this new thing recently where I've decided that I'm just not embarrassed anymore. My face is pretty warm, so I think it's safe to say it's not going well. But one of the ways I've decided to practice my new life with no embarrassment is telling people embarrassing stories and making eye contact with my barista when I order coffee. So, since none of you guys look like a barista, I'm going to tell you guys a story about how I think that I would be less embarrassing if I had a pet growing up. So, I think that if I'd had a dog, or maybe even a well-trained cat, I wouldn't have so much self-consciousness walking down the street, but all my dreams of hot girl walks and things like that went down the drain with all my fish. And in some ways I think I kind of deserve that, because growing up I had fish from 5 to 18, and every year of that I would put my hand in the bowl and I would chase them around and try to pet them. Or maybe my embarrassment is punished for the fact that one time I bought 2 fish and I put them in the bowl of fish past, and I came home the next day and there was only 1. And so I called the pet store and I was like, hey, these goldfish, one of them ate the other one. And the woman from PetSmart said, that's because they were betta fish. But I think worst of all, like my worst sin was the Little Mermaid cast party in high school. So I get there, and there's these centerpieces everywhere, and they have live fish in them. So I walk up to the girl whose mom planned it, and I was like, what are you guys gonna do with these fish later? And she's like, oh, you don't even have to worry about that, because I'm literally just gonna like feed it to my pet turtle. What? So of course I stole one, because I mean, like, who doesn't like free shit? So I bring it home, and my mom, I'm in high school, she sends me little pictures every day of my little fish. And one day I get a picture of my fish, and he's kind of like, and I immediately get a call from my mom, and I answer it because I go to public school, and she's like, Brianna, I forgot to turn the flash off. So in that moment I realized that I was having a fish funeral for Ariel later that night. And I also realized that maybe getting eaten by a turtle would not have been so bad. I don't know, I'm feeling pretty embarrassed to tell you guys about my negligent fish parenting. But I'm gonna go ahead and tell you guys that I'm a really sweaty person. Yeah, not in like the, oh my gosh, I'm like super sweaty, haha way. I wear men's deodorant, try on clothes to make sure they don't touch my armpits, and do a little swipe before I stand up on the CTA so I make sure I don't leave an ass print behind. Which was an oversight of my study abroad trip in London during the summer. And also moving to Chicago in the summer. So I get to London, and I'm super excited. I'm a basic white girl who studied theater in London. And there's no AC in the dorms. And I feel like I should tell you guys that while I think I'm a pretty smart person, I can't understand British accents. Even if they talk to me like I'm bloody stupid. Which, like, I totally am. So I get there, and I'm like, oh god, I gotta order this fan, and it doesn't show up, so I go to the guy, and I'm like, I need my fan! And he's British. So I apologized, because I'm also a pushover, and I went back to my room. And I was like, I gotta figure out a way to not sweat like a beefeater this whole summer. So I was like, all right, I'm on the 6th floor. Someone would have to be really committed to kidnap me. So I just open up the window. No screen, but that'd have to be like a big ladder, right? So I rest easy, you know, I'm pretty damp still, but it's better than the window shut. So I wake up one morning, all is well, no one's in my room trying to kidnap me, and I peel back my sheets off my clammy legs. I feel something move. I look at the edge of my bed, and on my feet, there's a pigeon. Yeah, it was in that moment that this pigeon in my bed bog that I realized I had no fight or flight. I'm a people pleaser, and I just laid there until it decided to leave. So, you know, my mouth is really dry now, I'm kind of sweaty, and I think I maybe should have just started with making eye contact with my barista. Thank you guys so much. Up next, we have Kirsa. not gonna tell you which one, but I have cracked the code to being ageless. I'm like a fine wine. It's French, a lot of different vintages, but also with no age statement, okay? And what this happens is this happens to be the fountain of youth, okay? So throughout the whole fountain of youth, I have really discovered some non-valuable things in the wild. Who out here is single tonight? Now that explains why I'm by myself. It's tough out here in the wild, and you hear a lot of great pickup lines, including like, you know, hi, are you a bank loan?
Yes.
Good, because you have my interest. Yes. What about you, kind sir? I actually have lost my cell phone number. May I have yours? One of the best ones I've heard lately was I was sitting with some friends. We were having brunch, having rosé all day, as you do on Chicago Sunday Fun Days. This guy comes up to our table and throws his credit card clink into the middle of the table. You know, one of those metal credit cards where you're like, okay, right? And he said, listen, ladies, I've got all the drinks if you promise not to steal the covers. Yeah, that was also 105 degrees that day. Joke's on him. But seriously, out here in the wild, you get tired of being hit on and hearing very cheesy pickup lines, things like that. Sometimes you just want to go to the bar with your friends and not be bothered. So when I was 21, during one of the Rolling Stones reunion tours, I was with some friends and I was like, you know what? You know, because I had a lot of experience when I was 21 being picked up on, let me tell you that. And I was like, I'm going to break the game. So here it is. I've got a plan. And there were some really hot guys standing over there, and I'm like, watch this. They're like, yeah, go Kirsa, whoop, whoop. And it was really loud, the bar, so I'm like jazzing it up, going over there, and I go over to the guys, and I'm like, hello, I'm Kirsa. How are you doing tonight? Because I'm like, yeah, right? They have no idea. They're not on to me. Are you guys picking up the ladies? And, you know, it was kind of like, it was so loud where they were talking back to me, and it was like, wah, 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 Charlie Brown style. And I'm leaning in, I'm like, hey, what? And he's like, where from England are you? And I'm like, yeah, I'm from Kingsbury. And he pauses, looks at me and smiles, kind of like a little, like, you know, sparkle in that blue eye. And he takes out something of his passport and shows it to me, and it's his United Kingdom passport. And I'm like, come on! My face was beet red, it was getting more and more red. I'm like, should I be practicing some Wim Hof breathing? Did that ice bath work this morning? Am I going to have fight or flight? So what I did is what any normal girl and lady would do. I'll be right back. I was gone. So that was the last time I've ever used a British accent in a bar pretending to be British. Now, if you want to hear my German accent, that'll be for another night. Thank you. Zach Best.
Hey y'all, how you doing? Good. So my name's Zach, and I'm kind of a late bloomer, you could say. Didn't ride a bike till I was about 10 years old. Didn't do my first stand-up set till the ripe old age of 37. That's right now. And I did not have sex for the first time till I was 21. Yeah. So the first time I ever had sex, I wore a Magnum-sized condom, and let me tell you, it was one size too big. So my girlfriend at the time had told me some flattering things that kind of got in my head and gave me the wrong idea. So I ended up, it turns out I'm a regular size condom person, not a extra large. This would be kind of like if you were a really good junior high basketball player and someone said, hey, you're good at basketball, and then you said, I'll join the NBA right now. So it worked. It kind of, it stayed on, it did its job, but it was kind of like my dick was wearing a hand-me-down sweater from its older sibling. Sadly, my dick is an only child. So, if you're gonna compliment people, maybe say like something that doesn't cause a wardrobe malfunction. And I apologize to my sister who's in the audience. So another late bloomer story is that I also didn't drink till I was 21, which my class pointed out shouldn't be unusual because the drinking age is 21. Most people start earlier than that. I was kind of a late bloomer with drinking. Once I got into it, I said I'm going to go really hard and make up for lost time. So my friends went on a canoe trip, and I said I'm going to be the hardest drinker of the weekend and really show off and be a show-stopping drinker. That was kind of my style. So I decided to make like a centerpiece of booze that was going to be the talk of the weekend. And I worked at a pizza place at the time, so I got a 5-gallon jug that used to contain vegetable oil. I rinsed it out the best I could, but it still had tons of little globules of oil in it. I brought that to Walmart, and I filled it about 2/3 of the way up with the cheapest, shittiest bottom shelf rum you could find. And then as my mixer, I got orange tang powder, a whole canister of orange tang, and a little bit of water and sugar just to round it out. And when this was all done, it tasted like warm lighter fluid with a bunch of orange Tic Tacs floating in it. And it was never refrigerated. It sat in my hot garage for a week. It was fermenting, and then in my hot trunk, and then in the hot metal canoe the whole weekend. So we get down to Missouri, and I'm forcing all my friends to drink these big solo cups of this, basically like a 16-ounce shot, and we're wasted all weekend. On the last day of the trip, I abandoned my canoe partner and just started floating down the river with a life jacket on, and I'm slamming into rocks and cutting up my legs and stuff, and just feeling blissfully wasted, blackout drunk, and the rest of the group kind of goes ahead and just says, leave him, he's done himself in. But eventually all got back together, and I said, we have to finish this jug of booze. Like, I started this, I have to finish it. So we all stand in a circle and just chug this thing, and then it gets back around to me, and I take probably a 1 minute long chug, like a gallon of rum, straight to the dome, as they say, finish this thing off, and then within about 30 seconds, I start to spew. And I threw up every 10 seconds for like an hour. And my friends, to help me out, they put me in a little camping chair in the river with the water up to my neck, facing downstream, so that I could just kind of sleep and vomit into the down the river. And then after just about 10 more years of that kind of behavior, I finally stopped drinking. I realized that's kind of how I go when I drink. I go too hard, can't do it. But now I drink about 5 gallons of Diet Coke a day, so. Thank you guys. Up next, we got Nikki. Give it up to Nikki.
Hello. My name's Nikki, and I decided to sign up for Stand Up One because I've run out of cries for help. This is the last stop before inpatient, so I hope to make the most of these next 5 minutes. I'm a research technician at a university, So I'm surrounded by people who either have a PhD or are working towards one. In other words, I'm the hottest person at my job. That's the thing about, you might be looking at me thinking, yeah, that's a strong claim. That's a strong claim. But that's the thing about being in a room full of smart people. The dumbass, by default, becomes the hottest person there. Acumadity. The accent didn't help. Yeah, but that's the hallmark of being a smart person, right? Is that they ask a lot of really good questions. And hot people, they don't ask a lot of questions, huh? They don't really need to, right? The most basic questions a person could possibly ask is like, how will I get a job? Who wants to be friends with me? How will I achieve my nuclear family dreams? Hot people don't even need to utter a who, what, where, why, how. Someone will rush up with a whole booklet saying, you want to know who? I can tell you who. You want to know what? I can tell you what. It's on page 87. It's easy for them, right? We all know, and I'm not saying anything new, we all know someone who was conventionally attractive, swinging their dick around their office of their high-end white-collar job after graduating with a 1.5 in communications. I heard some gasps at the sound of a dick coming out of a woman. Who here's for Bill again? Tonight, we're all strangers to one another not 2 months ago, and now we're all performing at Bill's high school, college, and This is stand-up one. We're all bombing at Bill's high school, college. No, I'm kidding. I said that because I'm insecure about how good these acts were. Everybody give a round of applause for the sets that you've seen, and then Focus, I told you I have 5 minutes. It's an advocate laughing for the others. I was saying something about, right, yeah. Smart people, they have a lot of questions, right? They have a lot of good questions. And who else has a lot of fucking questions than ugly people? Question number 1, why am I ugly? What the hell's going on here? So they take a good look at themselves in the mirror, they look at their cells, they see it, they have genes, bam, you've got a geneticist. Done. I'm ugly, but the other guy, well, that guy is not ugly. What are the chances of that? What are the chances of that? Boom, you've got a statistician. Question that answer will benefit you all so much. I'm ugly and I'm sad. Is there a way for me to just be ugly? Psychology. You're all cured. Congratulations. Okay, children, go to therapy, please, and hallelujah. But smart people like to pat each other on the back a lot, right? There's so many awards and prizes that go to smart people. You have Nobels, Pulitzers, MacArthur's, fellowships, scholarships. There's so much that they get. Hot people, they don't really have a lot of those types of things. We got a couple of pageants, right? But a pageant is like throwing a couple dollars at someone and saying, all right, go buy yourself something pretty. Right? But that's because hot people have the greatest prize of it all. Their genes. The geneticist figured it out, got the award for it, but the hot person is the one reaping all the benefits at the end of the day. That's how that works. Right? But it's not just smart people who have a lot of questions, right? Does anybody here have kids? Do they have a lot of questions? Do you lie straight to their face? Yeah, we lie to kids about everything. We lie to kids about the start of life, the end of life, and everything in between. Literally. How are babies made? A stork dropped you on your head. Don't worry about it. Don't ask any questions. They're not good for you. Where did Grandpa go? Florida 2.0. Just eat your dinner. Where did the goldfish go? I mean, have you guys seen the way these pets last? A goldfish will die, a hamster, well, we just talked about it, right? A hamster will die, a goldfish will die at anything. They're barely multicellular organisms. I'm working in research, I'm throwing a couple of cells in the water and they're having a great time. They're swimming in this weather. They're swimming. I rely on kids about everything, and it's fine, you made the damn thing, you might as well fucking mess with it, right? Right? But it's pretty fun. It's pretty fun until they grow up. Until they figure out what lying is. And then they do it to you. We're not having fun anymore now. Now we have a problem child in our house. I love kids. I do. But I would never have one. Because if they live to like 10, then yeah, I'd have a bunch of them, right? There's plenty of fun. But I think a lot of people forget that when you have a kid, they're not going to stay kids. They're not going to stay just crawling around everywhere, being all cute. Oh, look what that one is. Half of me, half of the other one. How fun is that? Science. Jeez. Right? They grow up and become members of a society. Did you forget? Did you forget that? That thing could commit crimes. I don't want that kind of responsibility on me. That's not going to be on me. Alrighty, that's all the time I have for tonight. Welcome to the stage, Mark.
For a while, this mic has to come way down. Grant was actually supposed to be up next, but I'm flexible. Honey, this beer you got me is empty. Do you still have the receipt?
No.
We've been had again. Any friends of Bill here tonight? I thought so.
None.
Friend is a strong word, isn't it? Yeah, we like him too. I mean, you gotta love the guy. He's got more X's than a tic-tac-toe invitation. Saying he's got more X's than a cartoon moonshine jug factory. Saying he's got a lot of X's. Oh, so let me tell you a little bit about me. My name is Mark Albright. Just giving you time to write that down. I am the second to last person that you'll have to sit through tonight before you can get to Bill, so you're welcome. What can I tell you about myself? So there I am doing shots at the grocery store. Because we have bars in grocery stores now, people. How delightful / fucking horrifying. We as Americans now don't even need to get through our weekly shopping without getting our buzz on. But I didn't come to them this time, they came to me. So I was there shopping for my 3-year-old's birthday party. And I passed this little sample stand, and I pass it once, and I don't take much notice of it. I pass it a second time, and I think, oh, I've got some sort of beverage. I pass it a third time, because apparently I'm a really inefficient shopper. Look, nobody knows where the vegan cheese is. I went to the regular cheese place, it wasn't there. I went to the hippie food section, it wasn't there. I asked 3 people, nobody knows where the vegan cheese is, and that's how they like it. But I digress. So I passed for a third time, and this very nice lady says to me, excuse me, sir, would you like to try some Maker's Mark? Now, I don't know about you guys, but in these free sample situations, I feel like I have to play a certain role. I feel like I have to be this person who has never encountered this particular product before. So I'm all like, Maker's Mark? Is it new? And I also wanted to feel like, you know, maybe, I just want to keep her on the hook. I want to feel like maybe if she plays her cards right, then I too might become a loyal customer of your product! So, you know, I'm playing my role. She gives me my shot, and a normal person would be like, yeah, that's good. Me, I'm acting like I'm at a fucking wine tasting. Oh, hints of oak and citrus! Oh. Ridiculous, but she appreciates that I'm playing along, and so she gives me another, and another. And I'm about to stop because then I feel like, you know, I don't even like bourbon, come to think of it. But I'm also thinking, you know, if I were at a bar, or say Second City, those little plastic cups would be costing me $7 a pop. But I'm about to stop, and at that point, she turns to the gentleman beside her and she says, oh, and if you're interested, sir, this gentleman has margaritas. Well, I do like margaritas. I had to ask myself a very important question at that point. I had to ask myself, just how much pre-gaming should one do before one's daughter's 3rd birthday party? And I guess the answer is all of it. All of it. So I don't know if you have been to Mariano's. Okay, we're talking about Mariano's. You guys have known it all along. It's not play games. We're talking about Mariano's. But they have the full-size shopping carts, which are like driving around in like a full-size sedan. And then they have the compact shopping carts, which is like driving around in a little economy car. And then they have these shopping carts with facades of cars attached to the side.
Oh, yeah.
And there's only 2 varieties of these. There is the taxi and the police car. That's it. Now you probably think these are for the kids. They are not. Here's your first clue. They don't have any other vehicles that would be of interest to kids. There are no fire trucks, there are no spaceships, there are no motorcycles, there are no airplanes, there's no bulldozers, there's no nothing, just the taxi and the police car. Well, as it turns out, the taxi is for when you've had 4 shots and 2 margaritas. And the responsible thing to do is to leave your car parked where it is and find somebody else to give you and your groceries a safe ride out of the store. And the police car, let me just say, you have not experienced day drinking at Mariano's until a manager pulls up behind you in a shopping cart shaped like a police car, making siren noises with his mouth. Excuse me, sir. Noticed you were swerving a lot by the canned peaches back there. You feeling all right? Well, there must have been some peach syrup on the ground. I'm fine, but that is dangerous, and you should get that cleaned up right away. And it only went downhill from there. But it's okay. I made it out to my daughter's birthday party in time. Judge Bill made a couple calls for me. All right, that's my time. Thanks a lot, everybody. The next person you're going to hear from is Grant, and he's fantastic. Give it up for Grant.
understand. If I get a chance to understand, I can.
Hi guys, I'm apparently Mark. This is actually working out great for me because it's fulfilling my class-long dream to be a Bills opener. Alright, so I'm Grant, and I work in the insurance industry. Thank you. Which is a magical industry because I managed to bore this entire room with just that sentence.
Oh yeah!
Now, the funny thing about insurance is that nobody likes it, and you only have to use it when all else fails and you're in crisis mode. So it's basically like if at the beginning of the year you had to decide how much Plan B you had to buy based on how much sex you thought you were having. Now, the fun thing about insurance is that for the job I have to travel a lot, which puts me in a lot of Ubers. And the funny thing about the Ubers that I ride in, I know everyone's here to laugh tonight, I don't want to shock anybody, but maybe the lights don't show it, I am a white male. And in a lot of these Ubers, particularly in certain parts of the country, cough the South, these Uber drivers decide that I am on the side of theirs in just about any kind of zany right-wing political view that they decide to share with me that day. Which, understandably, we've all seen the rallies these people attend on TV, and I understand that it doesn't exactly look like a United Nations conference, and I sort of fit the bill with who they're used to seeing. Let's face it, these rallies look a little bit more like the ribbon-cutting ceremony at a Cracker Barrel. I also understand, I know the collared shirt might give it away, but I practically look like I run the Young Conservatives Club here in Chicago. But these Uber drivers they get so open with you and they try to sneak it right past you. I was in an Uber just the other day in Nashville. I was down there visiting some friends, and the Uber driver, we're driving along, and you know, we have some small talk, we're getting friendly, and she, in just the nicest southern accent, goes, "Now baby, I just want this weekend, I want you to be careful because there's a lot of riffraff in town. There's a hip-hop concert in town this weekend. Some of the people in the city this weekend, they don't look like you and I." And she said it in this sweet southern accent where I was with her for the first part. I was like, oh, be safe, thank you so much. Wait a minute. What are you saying? And she's like, well, I'm just saying that, you know, not everybody who's in town this weekend has the best of intentions. And at this point, I'm trying to change the subject any which way I can, so I tried to bring up sports. She's undeterred. She starts talking about the presidency. At this point, I feel like I'm at the Thanksgiving dinner table with those cousins that you only invite over for holidays. So I adeptly try my best to change the subject to her kids. I say, you got any kids? She says, yeah, I got a son. He's at school. He plays college football. Couldn't help but think that she might not be the biggest fan of all of his teammates. So she voiced to me that he seems to be really loving college, he's having the best time there, and she's just worried he wouldn't come home as often as she wishes he would. And under my breath as I got out of the Uber, I was like, why, is he a minority and he likes hip-hop music? So anyway, I get out of the car, I meet my two friends, and they've just come out of seeing the new Top Gun movies. Anybody seen the new Top Gun? Yeah. So my two friends, they're just raving about the movie, so realistic. Oh my God, there's nothing you could take away from that movie. It's just the perfect movie. I just stood between them and said, I'd like to take a stab at it. First of all, Tom Cruise in that movie is supposed to be 59 years old. And he's the top fighter pilot we have to teach this crack team of young fighter pilots on a mission. What does that say about our nation's military? Could you imagine if they had a briefing on some kind of high-level secret mission that we had to do somewhere overseas, and they said, well, you know, it's going to be a really tough task, you know, we're not sure the boys are going to come home, but we got this 59-year-old guy here, and he's pretty confident he's going to nail it. Now, the one part of the movie I did find semi-realistic is that it's a 59-year-old guy teaching a bunch of late 20s, early 30-year-olds how to do a mission, And all of them are just probably looking at him like, retire. Retire. It reminded me a lot of the business industry where all of us in our 20s, 30s, and 40s are looking at these old guys like, please just give us a chance. Now, the other part of the movie that I find pretty funny is that at one point in the movie they give Tom Cruise shit because his call sign is Maverick. They say, your name's Maverick because you never had a good time, you never thought authority was something you should listen to. It's like, yeah, no shit, you let him pick the name. His name is Captain Sarcasm. You can't be surprised when it's like, Captain Sarcasm, there's a man on your 6, do you see him? And he's like, no. Now, the one part about this movie that I think we can all agree on, even though I do think it was good, that is going to be a major negative, is the amount of mustaches in this movie are going to bring this trend back. And what many men will not understand this summer is they are not a movie star. A mustache does not look on you like it does on Miles Teller. This whole summer we're going to have a bunch of guys walking around thinking they look like a Top Gun fighter pilot on the beach scene, and what they really look like is that they should be barred from staying within 100 feet of any school. Anyways, guys, that's my time. Now for the man who walked
this isn't my reunion. It's a pre-funeral party. I'm just still alive. All right? So no matter what Nikki says, I'm here to have you guys have a good time. All right? Now, when the producer just told me that I only have 3 minutes to do my skit. I told him it takes me 3 minutes to get up on the damn stage. So I said, you know who you're talking to? He says, I'm talking to you, asshole. Well, at least he knew my name. All right? So, if I go off, he said he's going to turn off the lights of the stage. If I go too long. I said, go ahead. I already wrote the complaint, and I haven't even tripped yet. All right, so I'm Big Bad Bill. I don't want you to have it confused with Badass Bill, which happens to be my father. Or, can I have another $1 bill, which happens to be my son. All right, now, I'm a retired judge. I've been a judge for over 20 years. And unfortunately, with the way the stock market has been going, I have made some very bad investment decisions. All right? I invest in divorcing the people I marry. Negative cash flow. So my son asked me, Dad, how come divorce is so expensive? And I said, son, because it's worth it. Takes a little while to get that one. So the only thing I regret, my biggest regret in my life, was missing the birth of my son. And from that day forward, I always carried bail money. Now, I have always been on the right side of the law for the last 20 years as a judge. But I will let you know that I was a strong supporter of the wrong side of the law. And as my family will testify to you, I was a very naughty boy as I was growing up.
Yes, he was.
Can I get a witness? The first time I was arrested, I was 14 years old. Serious. They handcuffed me to the desk in the police station. And I'm sitting there crying at 2 o'clock in the morning. And the chief of detectives for the station comes in and smacks me on my head. And I look at him and said, Uncle David, no arrest record. It was my first cover-up. My parents were so proud. I'm telling you. But I had one grandmother who was extremely tough. I mean, she was one hard woman. And she carried 2 guns with her at all times. We knew where she carried 1 gun. No one dared ask her where the 2nd gun was. All right? Now, as they say, I did have a few wives. Quite a few wives. My first wife, when I told her I was doing comedy, she said, don't quit your day job. I thought that was a little mean. She knows I don't have a day job. My second wife, let's call her Jackie. I guess I shouldn't use her real name, but that's her name on the divorce decree. When I married her, I had this beautiful mustache. And after 2 years, I cut it off. And she's looking at me. And she says, well, that's not the man I married. I looked at her and said, so we're even? True story. My third wife, and yes, I do have a third one. My third wife, well, there's a protective order against her, so I think everyone's safe. Yeah, well, maybe, but I'm having my car started by a valet. Now, when I was a judge, every lawyer thought I was hilarious. They laughed at all my jokes. I found out I'm not so funny without the robe. 2 lawyers I caught them talking about me in an elevator, and one of them said, well, I hear he's nice off the bench. All right? Now, you know the difference between God and a judge? No. God doesn't think he's a judge. Now, finally, I just bought a really hot car. I bought an Audi TTRS. It goes a quarter mile under 4 seconds. And my son said, well, Dad, are you having a midlife crisis? I said, no, it's a senior moment. And my son said, that car is way, way too fast for you, Dad. And I said, son, have you met your mother? Everyone, and just so you know, she is in here today. Everyone feels so bad for Peter. That's an inside joke. Now, that's it for me for tonight. Everybody is welcome to join me for drinks on the Utopian tailgate on the roof here. Yes. And drinks are on me.